This is CBC Here and Now.
I'm Mariana Kellen live at Mile 1 Center, where the St. John's Edge is getting in one more practice before taking on the Windsor Express in round 1 of the playoffs.
It took everything I own out. Basically 10 years of accumulation is gone.
Today, owners are rebuilding after a devastating weekend fire destroyed their Mount Pro businesses.
Grenfell students aren't holding back. They're taking a swing at campus hunger.
You may want to throw your shovel around this weekend in anger at Mother Nature, as we have not one but two weather systems tracking in, both with snow in tow. The full details are coming up.
Good evening, and let's get to our top story. The mother of Quinn Butt is still reeling from this week's court decision.
Andrea Goss's former husband is charged with killing their 5-year-old daughter. The trial for Trent Butt was supposed to start 2 weeks ago. Then Butt fired his lawyer. Earlier this week, yet another delay. On Monday, Andrea and her supporters were in court expecting another trial date to be set for this summer. But Trent Butt's new lawyer told the judge he needed more time to prepare. The trial is now delayed for just over a year. It's been a long 2 years for Andrea Goss. Her little girl died in her father's home in Carbonear. Trent Butt is accused of killing Quinn and setting fire to his home with Quinn's body inside. Quinn's death prompted an outpouring of anger and grief, but also a legacy of Quinn's short and spirited life. Fundraisers resulted in 2 playgrounds for other children to enjoy. Today, Andrea is reflecting on what's happened in court and the long road still ahead. Andrea, you were in court on Monday, very close behind your former husband, Trent Butt. What was it like to be there?
It's so surreal, you know. Every time I guess I see a picture or we're there, you kind of stop and think, how is this reality? How is this my life? How did we get here? It's very emotional.
Was there any contact between you, a glance, a word, anything?
No, I look. I kind of focus on him. That's just how I get through that time. I don't think there's anything there for, I guess, in him maybe to, I don't think he notices us really.
How did you prepare yourself for the upcoming trial, and what has this delay meant for you?
You know, obviously the last 2 years have been the worst 2 years of my life, my family and friends. And I've been getting up every morning for the last 2 years and thinking, okay, you know, the day is coming, and that helps me get up every morning and go on. And you know, you have a lot of down days, but as time went and it was closer to the trial, I found myself, you know, it was easier to get up in the morning and it was easier to go about my day because I felt that, you know, there was something going to come for Quinn and I. And then, you know, once we found out that it was delayed another year, it was just a total letdown. It was...
What kind of a toll mentally has that taken on you?
Well, you know, I spent the last 2 years, as I said, focusing on the trial, focusing on, okay, this is coming, and it's unimaginable how I kind of had an idea that it was going to happen, but to hear my sister call and say, Andrea, he fired his lawyers, I kind of knew it was going to happen, but just everything in me just dropped. And just the thought of having to go on another year, maybe 2 years, the way we have the last 2 years, again, is hard to think about.
Andrea, you said you weren't surprised when you heard the news, as bad as it sounded to you. Some people have said it's a manipulative move on Trent Butt's part. And you say you did expect it. Is that the kind of person you lived with? Is that the man you knew?
It is. I think I have a good sense of what he wants to do and how he's going to do it. And as I said, it was a huge letdown to hear it, but in my heart, I knew it was going to happen.
What comes now? You are looking at least another year ahead. What will that mean?
Oh my God, after all I could think about, towards coming to the trial again, I was thinking, okay, we'll get this done. It's time to go back to work. It's time to not move on without Quinn. I'll never be able to move on without her. But just try and get some normalcy back in my life. So that makes me a bit emotional because I know how hard the last 2 years were, and I know that the next year or 2 years, it's hard to just pick up and go on with everyday normal life, knowing that this trial is still ahead of me. He's not in our lives, and hopefully, in the future we won't be around. The trial and everything, I just want it to be over, and it just feels like it's never going to end. And it's hard to function every day, a normal life, a normal person, with it still hanging in the balance.
Andrea, you and I spoke almost a year ago, April 24th, first anniversary of Quinn's death. That's coming up very quickly. What are you going to do that day?
You think that it would be a sad day, and it is, and it will be. But same as Quinn's birthday, we try and celebrate and do something fun and happy for her. It'll be sad when we wake up, sad when we go to bed, but to see our friends and family in those colors and with those symbols that we remember Quinn by will make that day somewhat a happy day.
That's Andrea Goss there, Quinn Butt's mother.
And by the way, Trent Butt's new trial is set for May 4th, 2019.
Well, on to another story now. The minister in charge of the dairy industry has a message for the people of the province. Your milk is safe. Earlier this week, the government said information about milk quality needs to stay secret. Today, a different message from Jerry Byrne. More transparency is on the way. Byrne says concerns have been expressed about how samples are tested for things like antibiotics.
Certain deficiencies that were found in the processing, in just how that's monitored, which are currently being corrected, and it's very important we do so. But there is absolutely no human health concerns here whatsoever.
For more on this story, you can go to our website, cbc.ca/NL.
Business owners at a Mount Pearl Strip Mall are focusing on the future this week and rebuilding. A weekend fire devastated a tattoo shop and displaced several other businesses. Here Now's Janelle Kelly has more.
Rick Noftel was home in bed Sunday evening when he got the call that his Commonwealth Avenue tattoo shop had gone up in flames. The fire broke out just after 11 p.m. Noftel says his staff had gone home for the evening just 30 minutes beforehand.
No one's really said much. All I know is everything is gone and I have to rebuild fresh.
Noftel's only been operating from this location for about 3 months. Investigators are still working to determine a cause, but he suspects a small space heater could be to blame, or furniture too close to the floor heaters.
They wanted to know I was plugged into the right side in my waiting area. They're taking their time, they're going through it thoroughly, but nothing really.
Coffee Matters is next door to Elite Tattoos. It was devastated by Sunday's fire. Staff used this space to prepare food for 6 other Coffee Matters locations around town. Smoke damage ruined thousands of dollars worth of food, and the restaurant has been stripped down to the studs. Still, owner Scott Hillier is staying positive, focusing on the rebuild and maintaining his brand.
Stores seem to be pretty well stocked, so by next week we're probably going to get into a situation where some of our meals that we do they're going to be discontinued, but hopefully by the following week we'll be back up and running again.
The city's helped Hillier secure a temporary location up the street in the meantime. He says the support he's gotten from the community this week is overwhelming.
We signed a 6-month lease and they're only charging us for 4 months rent. So, that's very heartwarming to see a business reaching out.
Now, it's not only Elite Tattoos and Coffee Matters that are working to find temporary locations. Charmed Hair Salon is also working to secure a new home. And Feltham & Associates Chartered Accountants have already moved to O'Leary Avenue. Barclays Pub is already reopened for business, and the Royal Bank should be opened in the coming days. Janelle Kelly, CBC News, Mount Pearl.
Charges have been laid after a violent dog attack in St. John's yesterday, but first a warning, some of the video we're about to show you may be disturbing to some people. It shows a scary situation. Several Southlands residents sprang into action. A loose dog attacked a small beagle named Lucy. It's the one there on the red leash. Lucy's owner says the dog belonged to his next-door neighbor. The neighbor told CBC she feels terrible. She says her dog escaped a fenced yard, and she says it's never shown signs of aggression. She plans to cover any vet bills. Lucy has had extensive surgery, but the good news is now home and recovering.
Businesses in Labrador City are bracing for what could be a long strike. Around 1,300 workers at the iron ore mine will soon be without their regular paychecks, and that could mean a big hit on the local economy. Jacob Barker is in Labrador City. So Jacob, what are you hearing?
Well, Debbie, IOC isn't just the largest employer here in town, it is one of the largest in the province. And though the impacts of the economic impact has not been felt here yet, it could be very soon.
I think the hardest part for this time around is we were just recovering from a crash, and there's not a lot of financial reserves around.
Until recently, Colin Vardy was the mayor of Wabush. Since he stepped away from politics, he's had more time to put into his business. He deals mainly with contractors that service the mine.
It's kind of just bunker down and you know, watch every penny, and just hope the money doesn't run out before the clock stops ticking.
Mm-hmm. It's still early, but the effect is apparent.
Certainly is much slower here. The phone doesn't ring as often.
As a small business, he says a long strike is not something anyone wants.
You know, the ability for us to weather a storm is much less than a large company or a more mature company, but we'll be okay. We'll still be around afterwards.
I expect a 40 to 50% drop-off rate in my business, yeah.
Another current mayor is also staying positive about the outcome of this strike.
There's only one or two issues that they're really apart on, so if they can get back to the table and work that out, I mean, this could be resolved pretty quickly, and let's hope that's what happens.
Wayne Button runs a chiropractic clinic in Labrador City. He's already feeling the pinch.
There's already been a few patients that, you know, they can't afford to come here, and their insurance is actually cut off right now, so I understand that.
But fewer patients may mean more time to focus on his other role.
I'll probably just devote more time to my other full-time job, which is being mayor.
And while the strikers here on the picket line are heading into their second week with a game of hockey, there's no sign from either side of budging, and so they may be out here for some time to come. Reporting live for Here and Now in Labrador City, I'm Jacob Barker.
Well, attention snow lovers, you have one more chance to hit the hills before Marble Mountain shuts down for the season. The ski resort is closing its runs this Sunday, 3 months after opening. Many in Corner Brook are disappointed because the season started late and there's still lots of winter left. Unfortunately, Marble says it doesn't have the money to extend the season any longer. Well, certainly winter weather is not in short supply.
Yeah.
I guess it's adding insult to injury that they'll get a little more snow this weekend.
Yeah, and on closing day on Sunday, it looks like some significant snowfall possible, especially into the afternoon and overnight Sunday into Monday. Already special weather statements in effect. Let's have a look at the board here. Special weather statements in effect for Nova Scotia and up into Newfoundland, where this round 2 is going to have a big impact. Now, the special weather statement does also cover round 1, which moves in through the day tomorrow in terms of snow, changing to rain, and we'll also see some rain at times heavy for the Burin and the Southern Avalon for this Saturday system. We'll also see some heavy rain moving in with round 2. So here is how things will play out. Again, round 1 moves in through the overnight tonight. Saturday morning, just a bit of snow along that southwest coast. It then spreads in across the island through the morning hours, arriving around mid-morning for St. John's to Corner Brook, and then into the afternoon. That's where we have our changeover to those rains at times heavy for the Burin, the Avalon Peninsula. The snow will taper off for western parts of Newfoundland into the evening hours, and that system then moves off. Sunday morning, if you have some travel plans, that looks okay, but this is where we'll get into that snow later Sunday morning and into the afternoon as this next system rolls in. And this is where we could be seeing that significant snowfall central towards western Newfoundland, while the east changes over to rain yet again with some gusty winds. The snow continues in the west right through Monday, and so that's why we could be looking at quite a bit by the time things are said and done. We'll break down your weekend in more detail and, of course, your complete forecast details in just a few minutes. Debbie?
Thank you, Ryan. Well, students at Memorial's Granville campus have found a way to beat hunger with a sledgehammer. And while they took out their aggression today, they raised money for the school's food bank. Here now's Colleen Connors has more.
It's like Smashville in Nashville.
$2, you get a hit. $5, you get 30 seconds, and you get a minute for $10. So there was a student who was like, let's do something pretty different, something that, well, I mean, definitely MUN hasn't done, nor has the GCSU been involved in anything like this. And he brought up the idea of smashing a car. We went to some of the people in the administration, and they were like, I think we can find the funds for that and find the resources to make it a safe and fun event and a good cause, and here we are.
Oh my gosh, it was awesome. It was just such a stress reliever, honestly. It's cold though.
Well, I did it for a minute and a half. I donated $15 to Granville and Inside, and it felt oh gosh, it was like like being washed over with white static.
Proceeds for this go to the food bank here at your school. What do you make of that?
I'm kind of hungry myself. I think it's pretty good, yes. I mean, not so good that people have to use the food bank, but it's good enough that we're doing a good job for it.
It's definitely a challenge sometimes for students to afford to do things like eat. Like food security is a really big problem, and we have startling numbers of people using the food bank, especially international students on our campus. So a lot of organizations around the university will take on the food bank as a organization to raise money for, or raise or take donations. So we thought we'd do the same.
Awesome. People are having a lot of fun. Are you going to give it a try today?
I think I will.
All right, we'll have to watch for it. Thanks so much for talking to me.
Yeah, no problem.
What a fun way to get out a little bit of aggression.
They did seem to enjoy it, and of course, as Colleen was telling us, for a very good cause.
Absolutely. Well, the Sheraton Hotel is being invaded by aliens and also mutants and cyborgs and wizards and even a few muggles.
Oh, we're going to get in touch with one of those muggles right now. It is, of course, the Sci-fi on the Rock convention, and over 12 years, it's grown into one of St. John's most colorful events. Here now, Zach Gowdy is there joining us live. So, Zach, what's happening?
Well, the invasion has begun, I'm being told, and yes, we have confirmation. Normally this is a very plain hotel ballroom, but as you can see today, a swirling kaleidoscope of pop culture. Yes, it is all about science fiction and fantasy, but as you can see, you never know who or what you will run into here at the convention today. So much to see and celebrate, from movies, comic books, video games, anime, horror. The Furries are here representing the Sci-fi on the Rock Conference. Really today is about as big as your imagination. As you look around, there's so much to see and do. We're here in the vendor room right now. You can buy just about anything your heart desires, from an authentic Jedi lightsaber to a real Harry Potter replica wand. But the thing that really people want to see are the costumes. You can look around and see just how much time some of these people have put into their costuming, what it really means to them. And before the convention started, I hooked up with a couple of cosplayers in their super secret costume construction closets to see, well, how all of this comes together.
I think I just have a big imagination, and I've always had a big imagination. When you're a kid, you want to be the princesses, and then you get the opportunity.
I'm working on an elven druid, so that's what this bad boy here is, all of this. I started with like a bra for the base, and I had some floral garland that I used for like the waistline and for accessories. I don't really know what I'm going to use till I find it, and I'm like, yeah, that's going to work.
My name is May Dalton Summers, and I've been with the convention in different capacities for the whole 12 years, one way or the other. First costume contest was extremely basic. Basically, people came out to the convention, and from the internet and other conventions that you just kind of see on TV, people knew that you could dress up, but a lot of people were still apprehensive. Like, am I the only one that's going to show up in this outfit?
It was a slow process. We went from, year 5 or so, where there was a few people in costume, but not a lot. And you just see the energy that they have and the energy that they put into their time and costuming, and I wanted to get in on it.
I think what happens when you're into books and comic books and even just sewing, there are a lot of solitary things, like the things you do on your own. So it's not like basketball or other events where there's just this big social gathering happening all the time. So until you kind of give people that outlet, everyone kind of stayed at home doing their thing, and then finally we were like, come on out.
It's so fun. You get to embody and create this vision of a character that you have in your head and bring it to life, and it's just, I don't know, like a creative outlet, I guess.
I like to wear them, and I like to especially wear them at the convention for children, and we even get parents who will call us or message us through our Facebook page and be like, hey, is this princess going to be here and what time, because my daughter is really hoping to meet them. You just run into these children and they're just boggled that you're real, that you exist, and they think you're real, and you really have to own it, and just they have the biggest smile on their faces. They're so excited that their daughter is expecting for Ariel to show up at 3 o'clock on Sunday, and Ariel has to be there.
All right, and the big reveal. May and Kit are joining us now live at the convention, fully costumed. Thanks so much for being here again. Tell us about what you're wearing right now.
Well, I am wearing Queenie from Fantastic Beasts. I've got the coat that I commissioned, my fancy shoes, my wand, whole 9 yards.
Wow, extra special wand there. Casting lots of spells so far.
Wand, so.
Fantastic. And May, what are you wearing today?
My big comic book geek, so I'm wearing Dark Supergirl today. Wanted to do a little Kryptonite Supergirl. Got some red lenses going on, put on the blonde hair, some fancy new boots, and some foam pieces, as well as some sewn pieces, and all put together.
So many excellent touches in both of these costumes. Guys, just before we let you go, what does it feel like when you get to walk around here after all this preparation among so many other people who share this passion?
It's a relief to start, but it's super exciting. It's really cool to see all of these costumes that people have talked about building for so long in the flesh, so yeah. I think it's exciting.
You get tired and stressed after like a year of it, and every year we've just had to stop taking a break and do more and more months into it, so it's worth it when we come here and everyone's enjoying it.
Wow, well thanks for letting us share this world, guys. Thanks so much, and have a great time this weekend.
Thank you for coming out.
Wonderful. And if you want to come down to Sci-Fi on the Rock, we'll be here all weekend. Drop by the CBC Sci-Fi selfie booth. And yeah, hey, again, you never know who you're going to run to. It's a fabulous time for a cosplayer or a muggle like myself. Reporting live at the Sheraton Hotel, I'm Zach Gowdy for Here and Now.
A lot more people are busy tapping maple trees in their backyard. I'll show you how it's done coming up. maple syrup isn't just fun to eat, it can also be fun to make as well. A growing number of people are tapping trees in their own backyard. Well, this Sunday at Pippi Park, they're getting together for experts to compare their syrup and for people who are starting out to just give it a try. I met up this afternoon with Lisa McBride at the park to learn how it's done. A lot of people have maple trees in their backyard, and how much is actually involved if you want to be able to turn it from just a tree that's sitting there to one that's like this and actually producing some sap to turn into syrup?
Yeah, well, we like to call maple trees an untapped resource, pardon the pun, but it's quite easy to tap your trees. All you need is a hammer. You need a drill with a 7/16" drill bit, so that looks just
pretty
like
hefty
that.
One, yep.
Yeah, and all you're doing is you're tapping into the tree. What you're doing is you're drawing out about 4% of the tree's resources, so it's kind of akin to what we say giving blood.
Right, it's not actually going to drain the tree of all of its sap just by putting in one little hole. So once you've drilled the hole, I guess the next step is to bang in your little metal spigot there in order to direct the sap out into your bucket.
You just take the hammer and then you just hit right about here. You're tapping it, you're only looking to tap about 1 inch into the tree.
Okay, so how long does it take in order to then fill up one of these buckets?
Well, that really depends on the weather. On a day where it's really nice, you'll get more drips in the bucket. It'll happen quite quickly, but on a day where it's kind of cold like this, you'll probably get a little less. I've emptied these all yesterday, so in term it's filled up about halfway. There are days where if it's really sunny, you might empty the buckets 2 or 3 times.
So right now it tastes pretty watery. That's a long way from the syrup that you normally expect. How do you take it from what's almost water into the finished product?
Well, basically it's a whole lot of boiling down time. So you're looking to boil down your maple syrup. We use a wood stove to boil down ours. A lot of people have different things set up. A lot of people use outside burners. You can do in your house. I would recommend a lot of ventilation, though, if you did. We lost our wallpaper once trying it out, so I'd recommend that if you have it, set up fans and windows then.
You've been doing these workshops now for a little while. How much interest has there been from people who want to be able to do this themselves?
Oh, the interest has really exploded over the last 5 years is what we've been doing it here at Pippi Park. We started with about 25 people coming out to our workshops. The last season we had over 500 people show up to the free public workshops here at Pippi Park.
So can we try some?
Yeah, I brought some for you guys to try.
That's delicious.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing some of the syrup and telling me how it's made.
Thanks. Thanks for having me, and I hope to see everyone out on April 8th at the North Bank Lodge from 12 to 4.
Up next, what a group of NHL greats think of their recent trip to Newfoundland. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Ryan. Hold the weather for just a moment.
Okay.
We have a special Leafs-related treat for you, knowing that you like him a little bit.
A little bit, just a little bit.
Well, yeah, you might remember that a few weeks ago, the Toronto Maple Leafs sent a team of former NHLers here in order to compete against the St. John's Caps. Well, there's been a video making the rounds on social media. Have a look.
It's always fun when we're with the alumni. You enjoy a city with your friends, and you're making up for lost time.
Tastes the finest fish and chips to be found in all of Newfoundland and Labrador. Thank you.
Big Leaf fans out here in St. John's. It's very well known that the people are very friendly, and just walking around and having lunch and going different places, the people really make it. Looking forward to the game and having some more fun out there. Thank you very much.
The Royal Ontario Museum's going to want that stick. So far, so good? +2, baby. Are you kidding me? People here, they're just the nicest people you'll ever want to meet. They're passionate hockey fans and just a joy to be around.
Just from the landscape to the people and the history, in my opinion, Newfoundland's probably the best kept secret in the world.
It's nice to see them on tape, and of course Ryan is off camera naming up all the faces. He knew them all.
Homecoming for at least one of them, Nick Antropoff, of course, was a St. John's Maple Leaf. He was back in town, so nice to see all of those Maple Leafs, though, enjoying their stay.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't be enjoying it nearly as much this weekend if they had to be going through the weather that we're facing.
Definitely. I think we're going to basically come out on the rainy end of the battle between rain and snow this weekend here in the east, but it's going to be a messy mix of snow, ice, and rain here in the east. I hope you got the shovels ready if you're in Western Newfoundland and even Central as well. Let's have a look at your special weather statement once again in effect for Newfoundland. The rainfall warning in effect for the Burin and the Southern Avalon, and it's not one, but two systems. And there's the first one rolling in through the Great Lakes right now. It's going to be a weaker system, a quick mover that moves through with generally 5 to 10 centimeters. This is the system that's, again, gathering steam just right now in the southern U.S., going to grab all kinds of moisture from the Gulf of Mexico, shoot north, and have a little trip through Atlantic Canada, and we're bringing some snow and rain. Watch your timeline tonight. Quite breezy. Those onshore flurries and squalls we've been seeing across the Avalon today, those will come to an end. The west coast onshore flurries coming to an end as well. As we roll through tomorrow morning around 6 a.m., this is where we have the snow moving in to the southwest. Temperatures around -1. Now, -6 to -8 for St. John's through central towards the west coast, and a pretty quiet start through Labrador. Flurry chances named towards Labrador City, but overall it is pretty quiet. Now, timeline here. 7 a.m. Saturday morning, tracking through everybody into the snow by noon, and in fact around lunchtime is when we'll start to see that rain mixing in from south to north for the Burin and the Avalon Peninsulas through the afternoon. Snow transitions to rain, rain at times heavy, and some very gusty southerly winds in that 70, 80, even 90 kilometer per hour range for the east, mixing as far east or as far west rather as Gander. Grand Falls, Windsor, Corner Brook, and the west, I do believe, will stay snow. That snow tapers off through Saturday evening, winds becoming a little bit lighter, and I think temperatures eventually will get to around 6 or 7 degrees late afternoon in St. John's, taking care of that 5 centimeters or so of snow. A little bit more in the way of snow for the west coast. You can see where we're quiet in Labrador tomorrow. And here's a look at that snowfall projection. Again, generally 5 to 10 for most of us. These areas shaded in white, the best chance of seeing amounts near 10 centimeters and maybe a little bit more towards the Bayvert Peninsula and higher elevations of western Newfoundland. Bit of a break again for Sunday. If you have some travel plans, Sunday morning, not looking too bad. It's into the afternoon. That snow will be rolling in, and we are going to be seeing a transition once again to rain for the Avalon and the Burin Peninsula as that rain becomes at times heavy Sunday evening with some gusty winds. And this is where the snow will really start to set up for central and western Newfoundland through the later afternoon into the evening hours. Temperatures around the freezing mark. I do think we'll see some ice in the mix between that snow and rain before the transition to rain in the southeast rather. And Labrador, again, pretty quiet. Now watch your timeline here through Sunday night. That snow rain line will likely work up towards central Newfoundland. Again, the actual final track of this system is going to be key. Still a couple of days out, so stay tuned for updates. But the general theme here is that change to rain with some gusty winds by Monday morning in the east. That snow continues for western parts of Newfoundland, and that's why we are talking about the possibility of some significant snowfall here for west and into central, but especially the west up towards the northern peninsula and southeastern parts of Labrador. So not one, but two systems. Make sure you stay tuned for updates through the weekend. And of course, I've got another update coming up. We'll talk about what next week has in store in just a few minutes.
Furries, a subgenre of cosplay devoted to portraying animal characters. And as you can see, doing it well takes some commitment. Meet the Furries after the break.
Welcome back to Here and Now.
Mile 1 Center is abuzz tonight. Hometown favorites, the St. John's Edge, are heading into the National Basketball League playoffs.
And they're in a good position, sitting in second place in their division. Here Now's Ariana Kellen is at Mile 1 Center tonight. So Ariana, how's it looking?
Well, Mile 1 Center is filling up, Debbie, and it couldn't be a better start for the St. John's Edge. just today, the league named Carl English as MVP. So off to a great start. They're practicing behind me now, getting ready to take on the Windsor Express. They are third in their division right now. And of course, lots of fan support right here at Mile One Center, like it has been the entire season. Of course, helped along by hometown favorite Carl English. And of course, as I said, he has been named MVP of the league. He also happens to be second in the entire league for scoring, so that certainly goes a long way too. And if you're wondering how successful the National Basketball League of Canada is here, they were expecting around 1,500 people to come out to these Edge games. Tonight, they're expecting about 4,500. So that gives you a sense of how many people have come out and how many people have come out to support basketball in what has predominantly been a very hockey city. But let's get down to tonight's game. I'm standing by now with Trevor Murphy. He is the Assistant General Manager. Thanks for speaking with me today.
Thanks for having us on, and thanks for being here.
So we know that it's a very big game, playoffs. Every single game counts. Should we expect a different Edge team tonight than any other game?
You know, I think our team has been built on speed and basically a real team effort. And I think we'll see that again now throughout the playoffs. You know, basically the way the coach is looking at it now, it's kind of a race to 11 wins to win a championship. So our team is very focused. They're excited to get going, and having this type of support behind us again tonight is just something that's totally incredible.
I want to talk about the awards that were announced just 2 hours ago by the league. Give us a sense of how big that is going into the game.
You know, being a first-year team and an expansion team in our inaugural season, having an MVP on our team, also being named top Canadian. So Carl English, he's been a tremendous asset to us, you know, on the floor and also in the community. You know, certainly, you know, people have really embraced Carl and bringing him back to the home province. So that's wonderful. And then Jeff Dunlap, our coach and GM, getting the Executive of the Year award. So that's two big awards for this franchise. You know, the fact that we had a second place finish in our division, you know, our first playoff game home tonight, and then having two award winners. It's just, again, there's lots to do yet, the journey still ahead of us, but certainly a big piece of the journey, and wonderful to see people getting recognition for their accomplishments.
Yeah, 15 minutes until game time. Really quickly, how big of a challenge is Windsor?
Windsor, they're a good basketball team, and you know, if you look back at the scores throughout the season, all games have been tight. Very rarely our wins have been lopsided. So they're a great basketball team, but we feel very confident going into it, and it should be a great series.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
That was Trevor Murphy with the St. John's Edge. I'm Mariana Kellen, live at Mile One Center.
know what that theme music means. It's time to meet our young athlete of the day, and this is Cohen Hartley, who lives in Corner Brook and is 4 years old.
Yeah, Cohen is one active person staying busy with hockey, soccer, baseball, gymnastics, swimming lessons, snowboarding, skiing, and snowshoeing.
Wow.
Sounds like it's not easy keeping up with this guy. Congratulations, Cohen. You're today's young athlete of the day.
All right, let's head back now to Sci-Fi on the Rock convention, where you never know who or what you'll run into.
Yeah, here now, Zach Gowdy is live with us once again. Zach, what should people look out for if they're heading down this weekend?
Well, as I was saying earlier, Peter, you know, these days Sci-Fi, it's a pretty big tent. Sure, you've got your Jedi Knights, you've got your wizards, some Marvel characters that you're all familiar with, but then every now and then you run into something that really catches your eye. And at Sci-Fi on the Rock, there is no one more eye-catching than the furries. As you can see here, we have large human scale and yet clearly animal people type creatures, characters. Well, let's hear it from themselves. Anyway, I've got Justin, Brendan, and Pam. And Brendan, why don't you tell me, what's a furry?
Furries like anthropomorphic animals, such as Nick Welt from Zootopia, and they can make their own character from that movie.
So you can be a character from a movie, or you could be your own wholly original creation.
Yep. You can have your own character, you give it a name, get out of it, you know.
Wow. Pam, tell me, what's it like underneath all that fur?
Warm. Really warm. It's a lot, really warm, but it's a lot of fun. You get to put on this suit and just become someone completely different.
You know, a lot of people are doing that here, of course. They're wearing a costume, they're becoming something completely different. But, you know, I want you to sort of help me make this connection between the wizards and the Marvel characters and the Jedi Knights and the 6-foot-tall anthropomorphic animals. How does this all jive together with the broader world of sci-fi?
Well, I guess just like many of the cosplayers and anime fans, video game fans, we are also fans. It's just the fandom that we follow, or the characters we follow, typically have fur and ears.
Wow. Justin, I heard that furries also have very nuanced views about politics and economics. Is that true? Very insightful, Justin. Thank you so much for all of that. Guys, I really appreciate you being here. Have a lot of fun at the convention.
Thank you.
Wonderful. So whether you're in the market to meet a 6-foot rabbit, buy a fresh Harry Potter wand, buy a snazzy CBC bow tie, Sci-Fi on the Rock is the place to be in St. John's this weekend. Reporting live from the convention, I'm Zach Gowdy for Here and Now.
I guess I'll just have to hop in my TARDIS and head down there on the weekend. The bow tie seems appropriate for Doctor Who reference.
Absolutely. Zach always has fun at that, doesn't he?
He sure does.
Yeah, I think he's already signed up to cover it next year for sure. Okay, so you know what? Sci-Fi at the Rock, a pretty good bet this weekend. Inside activities, a pretty good bet this weekend. Have a look at a recap of the next 3 days here, and you can see lots of precipitation on the menu. That said, Western Labrador not doing too bad. Happy Valley Goose Bay as well. Pretty quiet through most of Labrador. It's stormy on the island where we have our special weather statements. Look at highs today across North America. And the reason I reference this, of course, is this has been Easter week, and there has been more than a few folks down here in the sunny south enjoying these types of temperatures. And, well, as they try to get home, we have another system that's going to be riding right up along with those flights up into our neck of the woods. And in fact, there's a system ahead of that that is going to be rolling in first. So in terms of how it plays out, the general theme here, if you are trying to travel, well, Saturday morning, be mindful that the snow will increase at a pretty good clip through Saturday morning from southwest to northeast. Everybody into the mix by mid-morning at least. By late morning, we're already starting to transition over to that rain in the southeast for the Burin and the Avalon Peninsulas. That rain will be coming down at times heavy. Later afternoon into the evening, we will see a bit of a break for the west coast and then into central Newfoundland. The snow will start to taper off to flurry, so some better travel there. The rain hangs on a little bit later into the east. By Sunday morning, it looks fairly quiet. Forecast models generally holding off that snow until the afternoon hours on Sunday, and that's when we'll see that snow starting to track in once again from south to north. That first system that I just showed you, generally 5 to 10 centimeters from that. This one will have more than that. I don't think so for the Avalon and the Burin Peninsulas, but certainly for central and western parts of Newfoundland where the snow is going to set up and I think stick around, especially for western parts of Newfoundland where we are talking about significant potential snowfall for the west, the northern peninsula, and up into southeastern Labrador because the system will be lingering into Monday. It really winds up into quite a storm as well. So we've got some gusty winds coming in for the west and some gusty winds from the south for St. John's and the east. We have a break for Tuesday and then another system moving in for the later stages of Wednesday and into Thursday. That one, by all accounts right now, looks best bet at least to be another mixed system in the east, perhaps not so much for central, but it will be departing through Thursday. So quite an active pattern and perhaps another system for Friday into Saturday of next week. So really, really active pattern going on right now. 'Tis April in Newfoundland and Labrador, I suppose. Now, Labrador, that said, we do have some sun and cloud on the menu for Saturday and into Sunday. Bit of some snow potential for Monday, especially for southeastern Labrador, obviously, and pretty quiet into next week. Our viewer picture of the day is a beautiful one. This is a sunset picture. As we head to break, we will open the guessing game and see if you can guess where this is. Somewhere on the
East.
Avalon Peninsula.
I was going to say east because look at all that glitter on those trees. We had that recently.
We did. Good eye, Debbie. Very good eye.
Nice picture.
Well, it is Friday, and of course that means we get to celebrate some people who've hit some milestones this week.
Happy 50th anniversary to Anne and Ralph Snook in Queensville, Ontario. Bonnie and Harold Penton of Bishop's Falls celebrated their 51st anniversary April 1st. Happy 59th anniversary to John and Phoebe Parrell. Congratulations to Eli and Patricia Bishop on their 54th anniversary on the 3rd. Happy 54th anniversary to Bill and Elsie Gilbert of North Harbor, Placentia Bay. It's a 65th anniversary for Dot and Albert Higgins. Congratulations.
Happy 90th birthday to Andrew Smith, living in Grand Bank. Happy 97th birthday to Mildred Sullivan in Lewisport. Happy 90th birthday to Roy King. Also a 90th birthday for Marie Drover in Grand Falls, Windsor. Happy 97th birthday to Susan Bromley of Conch. Happy 90th birthday to Genevieve Meehan of St. Mary's.
Wishing Headley and Gladys Clark of Spaniards Bay a happy 60th anniversary tomorrow. Happy 53rd anniversary to Francis and Golda Young from Springdale. Betty Halliday Wood in Logie Bay celebrated her 92nd birthday yesterday. Happy 54th anniversary to Melvin and Ruby King of Grand Falls, Windsor. It's a happy 58th anniversary for Arch and Helen Morgan of Carmenville. Congratulations and happy 54th anniversary to David and Blanche Smith of Conception Bay South.
Happy 54th wedding anniversary to Jerry and Stella Fudge of Gander. Happy anniversary to Donald and Joan Hannon of Leading Tickles, who will be celebrating their 64th. Happy 63rd wedding anniversary to Sterling and Lizzie Hopkins from Brownsdale. They're celebrating today. Best wishes to Cecil and Florence Gilbert of Bishops Falls on their 56th anniversary. Happy 65th anniversary today to Florence and Joseph Hopkins of Greens Harbor. And it's a golden anniversary for Mike and Brenda Dillon of St. John's. Congratulations.
Another fine crew.
Absolutely.
And Ryan, you were showing us the weather picture of the day. I gotta say, getting a little bit tired of snow and ice.
Yeah.
In the weather picture and
well, what do you
with
want,
everything
Peter?
else.
So you're wanting me to dig into the July photos from last year, are you?
A little hope and inspiration, at least.
No, I don't like that, because then we have to wait too long for it to be real.
That's a very good point, Debbie. Beautiful picture, nonetheless. Now, I did mention this one comes from the Avalon Peninsula, but this is a very, very difficult one, but a very beautiful spot. So right along Route 73, just east of Route 80, there's a little pond there called Island Pond. And this is where this picture was taken. Evelyn Johnson, thank you very much. And nice little sunset there. Now, truth be told, she said sunset at Island Pond. There could be more than one island pond.
Probably.
In Newfoundland. So I hope and assume that's the right one.
Now just, oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to say before we go, you've got a special series coming up next week.
That's
Looking forward to this. It's been in the works for a while.
Yeah, Navigating the North Coast is, of course, we made a trip up to Nain and following Air Borealis as they travel, try to bring goods and services and people back and forth to the coast. So really cool series coming up next week.
I hear the pictures are fantastic.
Great video, for sure.
Looking forward to it. Looking forward to a nice weekend. Hope you have one as well, and we'll see you back here on Monday.
Thanks for watching.
Good night.